of the most common questions that I get when I have a buyer who is looking to purchase a property, weather starts to get colder, things start to slow down. Well, they ask me, is it a wise decision to purchase a property during those winter months? And when I say winter months here in Kansas City, that usually means December, January, February. In this video, we're going to be talking about the pros and the cons to purchasing a property in those winter months. And if we've never met before, my name is Anita Cordell, and I make videos about all things Kansas City. I'm also a team lead of the Yellow Brick Group, and we help people just like you buy, sell, relocate, and invest right here in our amazing city. Why? Because there's no place like home. Before I start, I want to invite you to go into the comments section below and write your comments if you have experience in purchasing a property here in Kansas City in the cold, and if you are ready to make a decision or you're wanting to talk to me about your real estate goals. My contact information is in the description below. There's even going to be a Calendly link, and that link goes right to my calendar. You can make an appointment. We can have a video consultation about your real estate goals. Make sure that you like and subscribe so that you can get all kinds of real estate insights. So today we are diving into the pros and the cons of purchasing a property here in Kansas City during our winter months. And one of the things that I assure my buyers is that there's no time throughout the entire year, even in those winter months, that real estate stops. There's always buyers out there looking, and there's always sellers trying to sell their home. Kansas City is what we call a title city, which means that title companies are the ones that close on the properties. They are not open on the weekends. They're open Monday through Friday, and that's when they do their closing transactions. On holidays, of course, you can't buy a home on a holiday. Other states are attorney states. That means that the attorneys actually are the ones that will close the property or close the loans. But back to my buyers, I tell them it does not matter what month we are in. It doesn't matter the weather. There's always transactions that go on. That leads me to pro number one, which is less competitions. In the winter months, it's a little slower, which means that there's less buyers out there that are actively looking for properties. These numbers will go up and down. In this situation, if you have to buy in the winter months, there's going to be less competition. That is a good thing in the sense that when we are in our busy months, listings that pop up that are what we call hot listings, there could be multiple buyers that not only look at the property, they're writing offers on that property. You might be competing with 9 other buyers writing offers on those properties. In the winter months when it's colder, there's less active buyers. You might not have to write an offer that's competing with multiple other people. There are multiple reasons why that may occur, and it's dependent upon every single buyer. So pro number 2 is the fact that there is probably going to be motivated sellers because they're putting their property up when it's the lower part of our market. Now that means that a seller, if they are more motivated, there's probably going to be some things that you will be able to negotiate with. 1, because there's less competition and they won't be seeing multiple offers, and 2, because they are motivated and they're trying to make this deal happen. A lot of times sellers will put their property up on the market right before December in the hopes that they can be out of the property right after Christmas. It's a very good indication that they are highly motivated. Now, one reason why they might want to put it up on the market during this time is they might have a job change and they have to sell, especially those who are moving out of the state. Then they have a higher motivation to get the house sold versus waiting until the summer. I have a seller right now who's retiring in March, and they are going to retire in Canada. So they really didn't have a choice in putting the property up on the market. With that in mind, you will have a higher opportunity to find motivated sellers in the wintertime. Now on to pro number 3. This pro has to do with the winter spirit. Now, obviously, you've got Christmas in there, the New Year's in there, and high positive energy around this time frame. How that can affect you is that oftentimes the seller will have this winter cheer going on. They might throw in some incentives right off of the gate. There's just this winter spirit that can actually be in your benefit. Now, when it comes to Kansas City specifically, we are a lively bunch here. We love our Chiefs, we love our sports. It seems like our whole city just lights up with Christmas things to do. And so that bleeds into transactions. It kind of makes people more positive. Now, pro number 4 is the fact that prices will tend to be a tad lower than if you were going to purchase a property in the springtime. I don't know why that fully is. I think that people feel the energy of more buyers out there in the market and they just want to test it. But I have done a video about the mistakes that sellers make when it comes to putting their property up on the market, and overpricing their home is one of those mistakes. In the wintertime, sellers just are not in that mode. They want to be realistic, even if it's pricing the property just a little bit lower than what they might have in futuristic months. And ultimately, that means that you will probably get a better deal with all of the things going on. Now, this is the last pro that I have, and it is honestly my favorite pro. Pro number 5 is you can drive around during this time. And if you love the lights and if you love the festivities and you love all that Christmas cheer, you can take this time to drive those neighborhoods and find those neighborhoods that are really festive, that look for lights and decorations and what have you. So we're going to be covering a few different spots in Kansas City, and I'll show you those spots just in case you want to drive around in the winter months and have a few Christmas spots to look at. The first spot is Olivia Woods Subdivision, and this is North Johnson County. Olivia Woods is a fantastic neighborhood. It's just on the south side of the Kansas River. There's some really cool things about Olivia Woods that I just wanted to share with you about in case this is your style of property that you would want to see. These homes are a little bit older, the yards are bigger, and oftentimes you are going to see wildlife. So I have a friend who lives in Olivia Woods, and she has deer walking through her yard all the time. Olivia Woods is not a cookie cutter neighborhood. There's not one specific style that is across the board, which is unlike a lot of the newer construction properties that are in Johnson County and across the Kansas City area. It's definitely a different neighborhood. It's smaller, and so there's not that many opportunities to purchase a property here in Olivia Woods. The properties range anywhere between about $500,000 all the way up to $965,000. Another neighborhood that you might want to consider is called Arbor Landing. This subdivision is on the southwest corner of Johnson County, just east of I-35. The actual area is about 162nd Street and Merlin in Olathe, Kansas. Most of the properties in this subdivision were built around the 2005 to 2007 timeframe, and most of them are 4-bedroom homes with a 3-car garage, and most of them are 2 stories. This subdivision ranges anywhere between $430,000 to about $575,000. And the reason why they range that much is because some of them are not going to have finished basements yet, while some of the higher price points in that subdivision are going to have a finished basement. A third subdivision that's really close to Arbor Landing is called Prairie Farms. It's west of I-35 in a subdivision that's very, very diverse. It's got a lot of choices, not just with price range, but with the styles of the homes. Also, this subdivision is a little diverse in the fact that some of the properties have a 2-car garage and then others have 3. Now, this other subdivision is called Cedar Creek. This subdivision is west of K7. It's on the north side of Olathe and right off of K10. So when you're headed to Lawrence, Kansas to watch that KU game, if you've got children that attend the University of Kansas, this is such a great location. The Cedar Creek area is such a huge community. There's certain little mini subdivisions within the whole Cedar Creek community. There's even a maintenance provided part of Cedar Creek. The price ranges are in the lower 300s all the way up to over $1 million. And of course, it's going to depend on whether or not the basement is finished, but it's such a diverse neighborhood and it's so beautiful. Now, if we move over to another location, let's go to Santa Claus Lane. The properties here range anywhere between the mid 200s all the way up to the mid 300s. It's not as diverse as some of the other subdivisions, but such a cute little area. Now I will say this, that when you go to the subdivision, you want to make sure that you look for the red bins. And the reason why I say that is because you can actually donate to the Community Service League. So if you look for those red bins, be sure and donate your item. The next subdivision is Lakeside at Chapman Farms. Now this is such a fun place to go and look. On the south side of Blue Springs off of 7 Highway, it is such a great place to go and visit, and it's well worth the drive. They have a little scavenger hunt, and they've got like little stands around the neighborhood where you can go and pick up a piece of paper and it'll show you what things to look for. It's a great family night, and you can get your kids all involved to look for the things. It's such a fun place to go. The price range in this subdivision is about the mid $400,000 range all the way up to the low $700,000 range. In fact, the highest priced home was around $715,000, and it was a 6-bedroom, 5 full bath home. And then moving to Lee Summit, if you want to consider another great subdivision, this subdivision is really close to Longview Lake. It's called Eagle Creek Subdivision. One of the cool things about this subdivision in the winter months is there's this house that has all of their music tuned to 88.7 FM. And it makes it perfect for when you're out looking at lights in, say, Christmas in the Park. It's just hop, skip, and a jump over to their subdivision so that you can make it all in one evening. The price range in this subdivision is upper 300s all the way to about the mid 650. Most of the properties have 4 bedrooms in this subdivision, but there is a wide variety of styles. So you'll find split levels, 2 bedrooms, even front to back splits are in this subdivision. Now the rest of the city includes different counties like Platte County, Clay County, Cass County, and they're north of the river. There's actually tours that you can go on if you're looking in the wintertime and you want to see some of those properties, and they'll give specific addresses, not necessarily full neighborhoods like some of the properties in the south areas of Kansas City. Now we're going to get to the cons of purchasing a property in the Kansas City area during the winter months. The first con is the fact that there is limited inventory. So just like the buyers are putting things on hold and waiting until March and those months, the sellers, if they are not really motivated and they don't have to sell, oftentimes I find that they will wait. That means that since there's going to be lower inventory, that could mean that you're going to have to sacrifice in some of the things that you want, especially if you need to purchase during this time frame. There might be a few things that are on your wish list that you have to forego in order to get into a home. All right, con number 2 is moving challenges. So what I mean by that is that due to the fact that we are in winter months, moving challenges could potentially be affected because of the weather and just the overall essence of snow, but moving in it can be pretty challenging. One of the things that I do when I am looking at planning a client event in the winter months, I will go onto websites and I will run a search for the history of the weather on a specific day. Put that specific day down and I'll look to see what the weather was like or if it snowed in the past 5 years on that day. And there are websites that you can look at. So if you're looking at purchasing a property and you've got a closing date that you're considering, which means that you will probably be moving on that day or the next day, you might want to consider looking at the history of the weather to see if there's a risk of you moving and having some moving challenges on that day. When it comes to snow, our average range is anywhere between 4 inches to 30 inches in any given year. The highest amount of snow that we have received was back in 1911 to 1912 winter season, where we got 68 inches of snow that year. That leads me to explain the different types of snow that we get here in Kansas City, and hopefully this will help you determine the time of year of your closing. So the first type of snow that we get is called powdered snow. This is when it comes down, it looks beautiful and it melts really easy. The second kind of snow that we get is slush. It makes it a little bit nervous because you never know if you're gonna slip, and so you have to just be really careful on how you drive. It gets very muddy, dirty, that kind of a thing, but it doesn't necessarily make it horrible to move in. Then there's also sleet and ice. This is when snows but turns into ice, and you can wake up the next morning and all the streets are covered with at least an inch of ice. Oftentimes schools will close and the streets are definitely bare because people are staying at home during that time. And then there's the hard pack snow. This snow is where you'll find lots of snowmen. It makes snowball fighting super fun. You'll just want to make sure that you're careful on hard packed snow as well, because you can slip on that and it doesn't always make it easy to move in as well. Okay, con number 3 has to do with your finances. Obviously, you have the Christmas season, and if you are a family that purchases presents or you have holiday parties that you're hosting, you're gonna wanna make sure that that stress doesn't bleed into the purchase of your home, because obviously you're gonna have to pay for a home inspection, and those can range anywhere between $300 to $800 depending on what kind of home inspection that you do. And then also after the Christmas season, a lot of times, unfortunately, people put all of their Christmas gifts on credit card and they have a hard time paying them off at the beginning of the year. Con number 4 has to do with open houses. Normally, when you are purchasing a property, it's so fun to go out in the summer months and walk into open houses. There's usually multiple in different neighborhoods, but if you're in the winter months, the open houses are going to be less because there's less properties for sale. But even more so, there will be sellers who just don't want to leave during the winter months because they don't want to get out in the cold. Plus, too, the Chiefs are playing, and when Chiefs are playing, I'll be honest with you, open houses can be crickets. If you are a buyer that likes to consideration open houses before you call me, then that's totally fine. But the reality of it is, I can get into those properties even if there's not an open house. So the question is, should you buy a property in the winter months or should you wait? And that has to only do with your situation. So if you're looking for a time frame that's got less competition, more motivated sellers, then this season would probably be a great opportunity for you. But if you are really needing to wait in a certain other time frame and your financial situation is not conducive for the winter months and the holidays and your lifestyle needs, then it would be an opportunity for you to wait. So if you're thinking about purchasing a home in Kansas City, be sure and click on the calendar link and set up an appointment so that we can discuss all of your financial goals. And as always, go out and live your best Kansas City life.